Hey, welcome back to the Preach It Better podcast. I am with Pastor Adam. He asked me to call him just Adam. He is in Big Sky Country, we just talked about, and at Narrate Church, which I'm so excited to talk about that name in general. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invite. This is quite an honor.
Yeah, well, tell me, again, I want to jump in. Narrate Church. I'm a storyteller by nature. I love that. Where did that come from? Did you plant? Where's that name? What's the origin? Talk to me.
Yeah, we planted. So I was on staff at a church in Billings called Harvest, which was kind of your classic late modern evangelical megachurch. I was on staff there for 9 years, helped start that. And so that would have been planted in 2000. We planted here in 2009. So, you think about 2006, 2007, 2008, like I was the heyday of like the early Rob Bell. And
oh, for sure. I remember the Numa videos.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was doing seminary. I did my seminary at what was then George Fox Seminary, now Portland Seminary.
Okay.
And so really Narrate was like this desire to let's tell the story by the way we serve, not that we don't tell the story on Sundays, but like let's put a towel over our arm and just matter. That kind of early missional movement stuff really resonated with me, and so
cool.
But really kind of the blend of that, right? Because there was this debate about, is it the missional church or is it the attractional? And
yeah,
I think we were born out of I think it's both.
Sure.
And Montana is a very unchurched place. Sunday's 50% of the reason that people live in a place like Helena, and the other 50 is Saturday. So
wow.
It was a good fit for us of like, we're going to come in and try to exist in such a way that if we cease to exist, the most ardent critic would be bummed. And so like telling the story by the way we serve people is where that came from.
That's awesome. Because in my mind, geographically, you have the South, you have the Bible Belt, you have cultural Christianity. But in my mind, still at times, like middle America still, like I just assume that as well. I don't know why, if that's how people vote or whatever. So you're saying Montana doesn't have the same, like everybody would say, I am a Christian. That's not, it's unchurched. It's not, is it?
Oh, no.
Is it? Okay, interesting.
I have a friend in politics who she was just telling me, so don't quote me on this, but she's like, I think statistically we're the least religious state in the country. I don't know if that could possibly be true, but yeah.
And what is Montana? What's the population of the state?
Like maybe 1.3 million maybe.
Okay. And it's all in like a couple different areas, right?
Yeah, Helena, where I'm at, is 30,000 people. So it's rural by your standards and awesome by mine.
No, I moved from Knoxville, it's a massive city in comparison to that, to Santa Rosa Beach in the Panhandle of Florida. I'm in the middle of nowhere now, bro. But I'm in small rural area as well. You take the beach away, I'm in the middle of nowhere, bro. I'm in the middle of nowhere. But
nice.
So give me the hero's journey of Adam. Adam and becomes Pastor Adam. Always felt that way. Always called to be a pastor, or give me the story from no pastor to now I'm Pastor Adam.
In 2 minutes or less. I was raised nominally Roman Catholic. And, as you listen to like people like Bishop Barron, like I was a part of the like 1980s Catholicism that was not very robust theologically. In high school, went off the deep end and found that scene. Started dating a girl towards the end of high school, whose parents were pretty connected at a really great church. So the biggest church in Montana is Faith Chapel. It's a 4-square church. And by Montana standards, it's massive. It's probably 3,000 or 4,000 people. At the time, it wasn't that big, but I just started sitting in the back row of that church. It's massive
for almost everywhere besides like Dallas or Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? It's just 3,000 or 4,000 is big.
Yeah, it's big. And I just started sitting in the back row. Pretty introverted, sitting with my girlfriend, taking it all in, wondering like, where's the crucifix? This is so weird. And sat there for a couple years. That relationship ended, and her dad is one of the best lines, because her family had become my family. Her dad showed up at the door of my house with like my basket of stuff, as happens when you're dating in high school. And he said, Adam, you've been teasing God with your life for a couple years. Now you're flat on your back, and he's going to offer to help you up. Which is, looking back, was just like a brilliant, yeah. So
what a man of
right
God.
Then, yeah, it was really, anyway, so started meeting with a guy who's also kind of a Billings legend, Fred Nelson, who's a mentor guy. Had no sense of direction, he was like, maybe you should go get a teaching degree. And as I did that, there was a local youth pastor who planted Harvest, which is who planted us, Vern Streeter, who's also kind of a legend, who was the high school pastor in town, or one of the bigger high school pastors, invited me to come intern, which basically meant vacuum and stir the lemonade with my arm and, the things.
It's called a high capacity volunteer, Adam. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. It sounds like you have a heart issue, and we need to talk about that if you're not.
Yeah, right. I had no imagination for youth group. I didn't grow up going to youth group. I grew up smoking out of a bong, like that. Just, I had no but I'd fallen in love with meeting with people and talking about Jesus.
Man-made bong or a real bong? We're talking like a little.
On a good day we had
the. We talking.
On a good day we had the real one. I do sometimes wonder if I'll die of lung cancer in my 50s because of all the copper and those things that you go to the
whatever you're making in the car, dude. All those the gravity bongs or the half of it, dude. Totally. I think about that. So I'm like, what was I thinking? Like,
yeah,
what was I thinking?
Although I think we were better off than what's available today, and
100%. I would still go with the apple. It's obviously the first original fruit sin, but still, it's the apple. It's got to be healthy.
So I was invited into an internship where my job was to hang out with students and be the glorified servant. And one thing led to another. I really liked that. I got my teaching degree. He went and planted a church. I was invited to come start the high school ministry there. Really liked that. And then towards the end of that, he'd asked me to start a 20 to 30 something crew. Billings doesn't have a university, so it's a really hard place to be 20 something. Like, people come back from Bozeman and Missoula, where the universities are, and struggle. So we started meeting in a club in downtown Billings. And again, this was like early Rob Bell, and just that a different way of being church and serving people. And there was a point at which I realized I was so busy doing church that I didn't have time to be the church. We had my wife and I had little kids at that point. And so that early Rob Bell ecclesiology, I just became smitten by, let's just go serve people. So they invited us to turn that into a church plant. And so in 2009, there were 30 of us, all 20-something, who moved 225 miles to Helena. And it wasn't a parachute. I mean, they did it right. They gave us a big chunk of money, and it was very much a sink or swim model. So I moved here in 2009 and started doing the thing.
So talk to me. This is interesting. You weren't saved in an attractional model, but that was kind of your first church experience. And then a guy from an ex-girlfriend's dad gives you the old, your kind of road to Damascus moment, and then you go through this. What it's been like, because obviously Narrate is a little different than the attractional model. What was that like within your own experience of, hey, there's obviously value in the attractional model. I was there. It made me feel relatively comfortable at least to sit there. Yeah. And then I was, but now you've kind of either moved and or started Narrate and just a different understanding. How have you made all that make sense, especially now with church planning now, and the attractional model seems to, there's value there, but there's a depth that some people think it's missing. So where are you at on all that?
Yeah, like I said, I think in the beginning I resisted the dichotomy of one or the other. I like art, I like excellence. I'm an Enneagram 1, so I like control and order. So, I mean, behind closed doors, we would say we're kind of doing boutique attractional, but then our thing is let's gather and scatter. We don't. So early on, I guess the other thing I should probably say is Harvest had a lot of strengths. One of the things that I experienced though in my 20s was the perpetual capital campaign thing. And my favorite days at Harvest were when we were meeting in the high school cafegimatorium. And it was we all had to show up at 6 and set up chairs, and it was nothing happened without high buy-in. And then we moved into a $5 million facility, in 2005, which was a lot of money then. And for me, the energy just fell out of the bottom, just rolling in and turning on lights. And it's not that everybody wasn't working hard, but I just really fell in love with the portable piece. So when we moved to Helena, I remember we said we're just going to always be portable. And part of it was we meet in a community theater that would not necessarily be sympathetic to Christianity. I mean, it's not adversarial, but it's not we have favor. And we meet in that theater, and that was part of our deal. Was we want to matter to this space and improve this space and be good partners. And I remember at the time people told me I was crazy for never owning a building. And then, of course, COVID hit, and all of a sudden it was like, what would be a good idea is if churches didn't own buildings. So we're really fortunate because Grand Street has been good to us. We've been there for a long time. So I think we've always been an amalgamation of the two is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But we did always kind of push against a little bit the like performative stuff.
Sure.
Finding a balance between excellence and,
That's interesting because I love I went on the website and the theater looks so beautiful. And like you said, boutique is such an interesting word to use there. And so just like I love it, like it's hard because I'm a impetuous person. So I'm never going to do that, right? I've eaten so much crow with having kids and getting married. I like the taste of it now. I love it. It's incredible. So I'm always interested as someone that feels strongly about certain things. How do you manage that? Because there is a dichotomy. There is something there that's like, hey, like there's something attractional about this, right? Or no one would get into it. And then at the same time, if we lean too far, I just didn't know how you kind of, as you grow as a leader, as a follower of Christ, as a leader of these people. It's interesting to hear. And so, how have you navigated I wrote even down the perpetual capital campaign, which is kind of something going on.
Never done one.
Do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've never had to. And I mean, for us, the crux of the story was, like a lot of churches, was COVID. I mean, first Sunday in January of 2020, we were mid 500s. In Montana, we had to close for 6 weeks, is all. When we reopened, we were 33.
That is quite a fall.
Yeah, so
500 to 33.
And granted, there were people online and those types of things, but that's like, in hindsight, it was a gift. At the time, it was gutting. And we were actually going I think we might have to do 5 services, and then it was 33, and that was over 2 services.
Wow.
Including staff.
Yeah. That's a lot of pastors, man. Again, my dad was on the back end, he was, he's on his last couple laps. I think if he was 40, COVID would have been a completely different experience for him. I think he would have innovated in that space. I think he would have done a lot of different things, energized, and been frustrating for a lot of pastors. But him being on the back end, COVID was really damaging emotionally, and just seeing church just kind of be scattered and not really understanding, is this an attack? Is this just safety protocol? What is going on? Then we kind of learned all this other stuff going on about it. Every state was different. Knoxville didn't really wasn't impacted much. We barely shut down. I lived in Knoxville at the time. And obviously there's the political fences around, and that whatever the political area was kind of how the majority of people responded to the mask and all these different things. But it still impacted attendance massively. But something I saw, at least from the churches that I was serving and working through, was money wasn't, and then attendance online. And it felt like, to me, pre-COVID, at least my experience, you couldn't miss a weekend. We cannot not have a weekend. It'll shut us down. It was this, because during busy seasons, or you have the when it lands on December 25th or Jan 1, all these different things. Should we meet? Should we just give everybody, just go, hey, you'll be back next Sunday, right? And then COVID, I think, revealed to me the flexibility, the endurance of some Christians in the church and all these different things, that, hey, we're resilient. We can do these things. It doesn't have to be 52 weeks every year, every Sunday from 1 hour. Give this, do this, groups that, this on the wall. Yeah. I think I hoped, I didn't think, I'm not really a realist. I'm kind of a romantic in these. I'm like, this is going to change the church. We're all going to do different things. It's going to be so interesting. It's we did that until we felt safe to go back to exactly what we've kind of always done, which kind of bummed me out a little bit. I don't know how you felt, and did it change for you any practically, philosophically, or even theologically, in how you do stuff at Narrate during COVID or post?
Yeah, fundamentally. I mean, I think that I remember in the early days, those first few weeks when we were shut down recording on Thursday, I think we did that twice and then showed it on Sunday, and I hated it. Yeah. And I remember friends going this is amazing. I'm sitting on the couch in my living room on Sunday, and my sense was if this is what church is, I'm out. And I didn't, not from a moral high ground standpoint. I had no imagination for it. And so, because we set out to be a church plant that always was a church plant in a sense by being portable, I think we were able to very quickly, as a staff, we just named we're a church plant again. And what for me became really empowering was you quickly realize that the people in the room, like everything, let me back up. I feel like the way I was trained to do church, this was never said, this is the way I internalized it, because I'm not bitter towards those who taught me. I still love the mega church, like those types of things. But I think I had developed a mindset. We built a church around this idea that said Sunday morning's not really that important. Like what's really important is quote unquote your personal relationship with Jesus. But we're going to be so good at it that you'll come anyway, which is very arrogant in hindsight. And then I think what happened during COVID was people just cashed that check. And then also what I had learned, like when we got to Helena in 2009, I think our message was like Christians don't have to be weird. So our offices are downtown. I do all my meetings in breweries and things. Like we're still very missionally and locally present. But I think for those first 10 years, the mission was, in a sense, trying to help like de-churched people get comfortable with church again.
Is that Helena? You say people that have been scorned by and or just have a bad religious experience? Is that more than they're just unchurched in general?
Yeah, exactly. I think most of us churches give ourselves too much credit when we start talking about unchurched people. You know, like that's much harder and more rare. It happens, but I think we were building a church from the kids of people who'd been raised in church but walked away from it, and we're trying to do church cool in a sense, and also in a way that served people well, like I love your hat, and just kind of making it about that. But I think part of what COVID exposed, in addition to the like trivialization of Sunday, was I think nominal Christianity was killed in places like Helena by COVID. I mean, that if you were nominal, if you were more of a cultural Christian, like I think that just took people out in this part. I mean, that's certainly true of Helena. I mean, and it's not a judgment thing, but just a lot of people who, there was this permission to just finally be done because, right and wrongly so, the church's villainization was complete.
Yeah, no, it's and I think it's like big pharma, big government, big bank, the industrialized whatever, absolutely got assigned to the church as well, which I think there's some
sure
things we need to own in that. And so like I feel like a little bit younger millennial, I'm a millennial, and then the next generation, there is this I don't trust big things in general anymore. I can't understand what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Think it's a perpetual capital campaign. What is this doing? What's happening here? And the difficulty with just kind of and so it's interesting what I do think there's a renaissance for the church. I'm really excited for what I'm seeing. I think the rise of AI is giving way to a rise in person. I see Adam, even right now. Like I think in 5 years, I won't even know if this is you or not, right? I know my dad right now, bro. He struggles in general. Like I'll hear him tell stories. I'm like, Dad, that's AI. You can't say that, bro. That's not real. He can't, he can't see the difference. I'm even struggling now. I know now, like there's certain things. Look at the fingers. They can't do 5 fingers for some reason right now. But in a couple minutes, that'll all be away. And they can walk into the theater and see Adam, even if they don't believe, but they see his face. They feel a handshake. They see him, and I think I am so excited for that for the church. And my hope is are we prepared both organizationally and our discipleship? Like, are we prepared? Because if you talk to any pastor, we're always going to be like, unchurched, de-churched, lost, come one, come all. But we all pray secretly for transition because those are the people that give and serve, right? Those people the transplants are the ones that give and serve.
Sure.
So if the majority of people that come to your church the next couple of years are unchurched, what are we going to do with them? Because they're not just going to come and jump and sit and serve and give. So my hope and prayer and what is figuring out, hey, I think absolutely I think people are going to start coming more and more. If Sunday mornings, whenever we change it, however it happens, because they want to see somebody, feel somebody, hold somebody. And what do we have for them? More than preaching and singing, more than a TED Talk, more than a character study and all that stuff is great. So that's kind of my hope is in that. And so what do you see for Narrate specifically the next 1 to 3 years? Like you love the vision that's currently happening. Do you see the affectionateness of it and moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, so we I think we languished there for a couple years. I watched friends leave the faith as everyone did, and then I was gifted a friend who together we like jumped headfirst into ancient Christianity stuff. Roman Catholicism is, the healthiest church in Helena, the biggest, healthiest church in Helena is the Cathedral. Roman Catholicism is very healthy here.
Okay. You say Roman. Explain the difference to me.
Yeah, because I think when, this will get to where I'm kind of going, but I think when a Christian says, oh, they're Catholic, my response is, you mean they're Roman Catholic? Like, the creeds would say we should all aspire to be Catholic. Like, okay. And we still hear that.
Okay, cool.
So I was close to becoming Eastern Orthodox, I think. I love what they do with the cross. I remember a friend had said to me, Adam, I'm out. It's just divine child abuse. And it was not long after that as I was exploring how Eastern Orthodoxy has interacted with the cross. And really, like the church for the first 1,100 years, it was Christus Victor. It wasn't someone had to pay. It was like God won. And so what started happening was not the need to unwind Western theology. Like, again, those metaphors are there. I think they have solid ground. But to recognize there's other options. Like, there's other lenses. But then at the same time, Narrate was starting to come back. And so I had this pretty clear moment with the Lord, and I wouldn't say this very often, but I was on a walk and I just felt like God said, Adam, if you were like 22 and not married and had no mortgage and no church, like you could choose whatever tradition you wanted. And I think I'm too big of a wuss to be Eastern Orthodox in the like grand scheme. Like it sounds good until you actually dig into it. But I think the point of that interaction was, but you're not. And you have a responsibility. My joke is like a robed Adam would have been a single Adam. She was not enamored by it.
She was enamored by it.
The next sentence for me in that interaction with God was this, but if you'll trust me, I'll show you a way that allows you to honor your own integrity and at the same time honor those commitments that you've made. And it wasn't long after that I discovered a little Anglican diocese called C4SO, Churches for the Sake of Others.
Say that one more time slowly.
C4SO. C4SO. It's
SO. Churches for the Sake of Others.
Churches for the Sake of Others. It was founded by a guy named Todd Hunter. It's a part of the Anglican Churches of North America. Like Scott McKnight is a part of that diocese. And what I discovered in Anglicanism, which is its own story that may or may not, probably doesn't all fit here, is it captures the best parts of missional evangelicalism, which I realized I still love. Yeah. The ability to contextualize and at the same time it's anchored to something historical. So I think A.J. Sherrill, who's a friend, he says it well when he says he had this desire to be a part of something that was alive and connected to history. And he follows that up by saying, I'd found lots of things very much alive but connected only to themselves, and things very connected to history but weren't particularly alive. So when you talk about the future, and I agree with you, and I mean, I don't know what's happening in the South, but what's happening with young people in Roman Catholicism, Eastern Orthodoxy, and Anglicanism is real. And wow. I think it has to do with the more we get detached from family of origin and other things, like even as Christians, we have this desire to be anchored to something bigger than ourselves. Yeah. And especially as pastors, I think so I became, lest I bury the lead, which I've already done, I was ordained as a missionary clergy into C4SO in February of 2024. Wow. Which is this very unique privilege they gave me of Narrate's a non-denominational church. I'm a part of the diocese.
Do you get to wear the big robes and the big hats? What is that? What's the?
Don't have to do any of that. Like, that's what's awesome about it. I mean, I could nerd out with you for days on this. Actually,
I'd be interested if I could wear the big robe with the big hat. I want to, I want to get into that.
I'd be single if I wore the big robe and the big hat. But I never saw myself doing this. We actually just wrote a book called "It's a Big."
You did.
That's trying.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's right. Did you send me an email about that?
I did, yeah. I'll send you a copy
awesome.
if
I read
you
that.
want.
Yeah, please do. I would love to. I remember reading that, and then I did another recording, and I completely missed.
That's all right.
I didn't connect it.
Email
That's
me your
great.
address,
I
and
would
I'll
love
have one
to.
sent to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would love that.
But so C4SO doesn't. I mean, that's what's awesome about. Like, I mean, C.S. Lewis was Anglican, John Stott was Anglican, like John Wesley was Anglican. Like, it has this robust history of being missional. So Todd's thing is liturgy is built from the mission field backwards. And so I have friends that are leading C4SO churches in places like Austin, and they're really high up the candle. But the people they're serving are these ex-evangelicals who are just burnt out on megachurch. And so they're using form and other things to project like we're not that. But that's not Helena. Like, Helena's not full of a bunch of angry ex-evangelicals. They're full of it's full of people who have no imagination for church.
Yeah.
So
interesting. And knowing where you are, I think, and knowing the heartbeat and the language and the understanding of where you're trying to serve and who you're trying to connect with matters so much. It sounds like you know Helena really well, which is incredible. Again, we are on the Preach It Better podcast, so I must ask at least once, how do you, all the things you've talked about, obviously you're a history nerd, a church nerd, you love all these different things, you love art, you love excellence. What's happening when you get up there? How long do you teach? Are you verse by verse? There's no robe and hat, which kind of bums me out. But what do you like? How would you describe your current teaching style? And then, secondly, after you answer that, ask where do you go for inspiration in that space or outside the Bible and church space for storytelling and art and things of that nature?
Yeah, I think the gift of ancient faith is the lectionary. So I'm a series guy. I was always a series guy. I love building series, topically based. That's what we did well. When COVID hit, I was just flat on my back like everybody else. And suddenly, like, authors weren't resonating. And so I just personally started going through Matthew. And it wasn't long before I said, hey, I think we're just going to do Matthew. And we went from a church that did series of 3 or 4 weeks to one that did Matthew for 18 months. And just and then I discovered Anglicanism, and I was like, wait a minute, like Jesus did this. Like, people have been doing this forever.
Right.
Like, if I was coaching church planners, I would say, like, default to the lectionary, and then when you have inspiration, design a series.
Sure.
So that's what we're doing now.
That's a great way to put it. I like that.
So I'm preaching for 25 minutes, and I think that for us, before COVID, it was 35, and like nobody wants to listen to anybody talk for 35 minutes, in my opinion. Right. And we do series, we do lectionary. It's and we've kind of amalgamated them. Probably half the year we're in the lectionary, half the year we're in a series.
I love what you said, again, having imagination for it. You said it a couple of times. You didn't have imagination for what was happening during COVID for the church. Not that it was, just that wasn't for you. And then you talked about the people in Helena not having imagination for the church. I think that's such a beautiful way to put it for if a pastor currently is feeling frustrated or burned out and in a crossroads, like, ask yourself that. Like, do you have imagination for this anymore, this program or this style? And what follows is potentially very interesting, because I just like that way of asking. Like, we always pray for God's guidance, God's sovereignty. God, give me this. Close this door, open this door. But maybe keep praying those prayers, but potentially another prayer to pray is say, and do I have imagination for this? And if I don't, why? And is there life there?
Yeah.
If there's, if that's a transition or a different season or whatever. You've said it a couple times, and it really resonates with me, and I appreciate you saying it that way. So
that's that.
I don't know.
I love that phrase is from a book called The Failure of Nerve by Friedman. It's a really, really good book, and it's all, he uses that phrase in imagination often.
Failure of what?
A Failure of Nerve. By it's right here, Edmund Friedman.
I love that. That looks like a big fancy book.
It's a Todd Hunter. It's one of those books that, like, the first 4 or 5 chapters and you got it. But
nice.
It's really good.
Is your book out yet?
It is, yeah.
Okay, where would the people listening go to get that? Just where you go?
It's just on Amazon. Yeah, we just self-published it on Amazon. Yeah.
Awesome. That's incredible. Yeah. And that's incredible. I love what you're doing. And one thing I ask for pastors to do before we wrap up is, if there's a word you've been wrestling with, or there's a word on your heart for pastors, church planners, like you mentioned, imagination, would you share that with us and then pray for the pastors listening?
And did you say and pray?
And pray, please, yes.
Yeah. don't know. I mean, like I said, I think that what would be my word for pastors?
Yeah, well, you don't have to word. That's my evangelical
Yeah,
background.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what is
Sure.
what is, I don't know, something on your heart? You shared plenty, but just something that you've had,
I think the gift that COVID gave to us was like what you just were pointing out, the permission to pay attention to what animates you.
Yeah.
And that can become narcissistic, but also I think it's really important to plant the church that you'd want to attend, and to lead the church that you'd want to attend, and to be really gracious in how you signal change, and to do change well.
Yeah.
But also to not serve a machine if it's starting to feel to you like a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Pay attention to what animates you.
That's powerful, man. It really is.
And
That's
I'd love
for
to
me.
pray.
Maybe it's just for me. I love it. You're speaking
well,
right to me.
No,
right
this
to
is
me,
good.
man.
I wish we had more time to talk.
I know. I'm looking at the clock. We have 4 minutes. I'm like, God, I've got so much more to
I
talk
am
about.
sorry.
But
I'd love to follow up.
Hopefully. Yeah, one of many. Go ahead.
Lord, thanks for Micah and the work that you have him doing, and thanks for the church. And I just think of even Augustine's, the church is a whore and the church is my mother. And God, we recognize that we're a part of this big giant family that's full of all kinds of awesome opportunities and embarrassing warts. And so I pray for the pastors that you'd surround them by people who share a healthy vision for local church, that you'd give them their Jonathan-type people that can give them their steel spine. And also you'd protect us from ourselves and our egos, and that in your graciousness you'd grow and mature us, and that would happen at an appropriate rate, that we don't wound people and serve them well. We love you, Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for sharing. Again,
Yeah.
what's the title of the book?
It's a big tent.
It's a Big Tent.
Yep.
I love
Yeah,
it.
it's a big tent.
Go on Amazon if you like it. Obviously, I think big thing on Amazon, reviews, right? If we review that book, give it a 5-star.
I'm learning that.
And yeah, absolutely. So review that book, share it. I can't wait to get a copy and spread it. Pastor Adam, thank you so much for this
Thanks.
time together.
Let's do this
man.
again.
Thank you for what you're doing at Narrate. Absolutely. And for everybody else, we'll see you again on the Preach It Better podcast.